This episode, we're getting into the meat of everything. We're going to talk about the subconscious and how it holds our belief system. Stick around. I'm so glad you're back. This episode is going to be it's going to be a lot about the subconscious, and we're going to talk about what it is, how it works, those sorts of things. It's really exciting. For me, this is one of the meatier parts of the episodes of this video series because it explains why. It explains what's going on at the underlying level. Why am I experiencing this pain? Why do I have these emotions? And then once we understand the actual whys, then we can start working on solutions. Because if you don't understand the problem, you can't understand the solution is never as good as you really want it to be. So let's get to it. So the subconscious. So we have a conscious mind, we have a subconscious mind. The conscious mind is the part where we think, we're aware, where we see it. That's what we call conscious. Subconscious is everything that we can't think about, that we're not aware of, things that are underneath that level of awareness. Now, I always enjoyed telling people about how much, or at least asking the question, how much conscious versus subconscious decisions do you think you make during the day? Well, they've done analysis on this, and they found that only 10% of our decisions made during the day are actually conscious decisions. Most of it's subconscious. And if you think about it, it makes a ton of sense. So, for example, who walks your body? Do you walk your body? Yeah, the first instinct is to say, well, of course I walk my body. Of course, that's me doing this. Well, actually, if you think about it, are you thinking about your calf muscle and how much to contract it by in order to not fall over? Are you thinking about your thigh muscle and how to swing your hips or what you need to do to move your arms around? I'm not thinking about this muscle. I'm just moving my hand over there and then over there. If I could dance really nice, I'd do my lovely dance, whatever. But the muscle, I would never think about this muscle right here and how much to contract it. I would just put my hands on my body where I want them to be in my head consciously, and then my arms magically follow to where I want them. I set the intention, and the subconscious makes it happen. That's how we interact with the subconscious. We set the intention of what we want, and then the subconscious magically makes it happen. It's magic in my mind because I don't know how it works. And any technology sufficiently advanced is magic. This feels like magic to me. Subconscious is magic. So the subconscious mind controls our motor control. In fact, what's interesting is to see, I've had children and I've watched them work through walking consciously to walking subconsciously. So when they're walking consciously, they'll grab onto something and then they'll just scoot on and then grab over and they'll scoot on and then they scoot around all the furniture, holding on to it, trying to get their feet in the right spot, trying to figure it all out. Well, you can see there's a part or a point when it all sort of starts to click. They start doing complex motions. Well, okay, I happen to be trained as an engineer, and that's a complex motion. The motion of moving my hand like this is a complex motion, and it's very difficult. There's rotation, there's extension, there's a contraction, there's all sorts of things going on here. And you can just see their little subconscious, like, magically pull all that together and move the way they want it to move. It's a thing of beauty, and it's amazing. And I love watching them go through that. That's when they went from conscious walking to subconscious walking. Conscious walkers, they have like this, they're very unstable. Subconscious walkers, they've just got it down, right? I want to jog, so I jog. I don't think about the mechanics of jogging, the mechanics of walking. It just happens and flows naturally. Subconscious is a beautiful thing. Okay, the subconscious mind, you can think of it kind of like a computer. It's a computer that learns. Now, just like your computer at home, or your phone, or your iPad, or your iPod, or your Android phone, whatever you happen to have, if you open it up and you launch an app, does your phone get jealous that you're not running the mail app when you're running the web app? No, it doesn't have any emotion per se. It just runs the program you ask it to run. Same thing happens with our conscious versus subconscious. There are programs in our subconscious mind that run just like a computer. They don't care. It doesn't care that it's running one program versus another program. It's just running a program. The ones that you've learned over time, and it's just running them for you. Okay? That's what the subconscious does. It runs programs. The other thing that it does is it holds a model of your world. Now, when we're talking about scientific models, if I were to take this ball, this pretend ball right here, and I throw it in the air, and then it lands over here, the amount of time that it takes for it to go over, given the known factor of gravity, is an equation. Okay? Now, in that equation, I can ask questions. I can ask the question, how high did the ball go? Knowing the amount of time that it took me to throw it to land, I can ask, how high did it go? I can ask, what was its height at what time there? I can ask questions to this model of the world, to this equation, and get answers back that are relatively accurate. Granted, okay, I'm not going to put air resistance in there. I'm not going to put the moon's influence on it. None of those things. I'm going to simplify down to a simple equation. I'm not even going to worry about how far or close, the depth. I'm not going to worry about the z-axis. I'm just x and y and throw it, and I'm going to get a pretty good approximation about where it's going to land, when it's going to land, how high it's going to go, its speeds, its accelerations, all those things from this very simple equation. Now, your subconscious holds a model of your world. Okay, let me give you an example. And you can ask it questions. That's the cool part. So if I ask you what color is the sky, what you're going to do is you're going to go into your memory banks, into your subconscious, and say, okay, what color is the sky? And the subconscious is going to work on it for however long it needs. Generally, it comes out pretty fast. Oh, the sky's blue. Now, if I ask you for a little more complex, what colors are the sky? Oh, it can be black from rain clouds. It can be orange from a sunset, or it could be rainbow from a rainbow. So rainbow colors. It could be all those things. But in general, when we think of a cloudless sky, we think of blue. So all that information came out of your subconscious. You're not consciously going around thinking about, okay, now if Bryce asked me, the sky's blue. Okay, now don't forget, Bryce asked me, sky's blue. Blue, right? You're not doing that. You're not worried about that because the subconscious has got your back. It's got all this information. It's got this model of the world. If I asked, if Ian leaves the train station at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and travels 300 miles at 220 miles per hour, we can't actually do that math. The subconscious can help you figure out. In fact, it can even give you a gut feeling of what that's going to be, so that when you do the computation, you say, maybe that's not a good example, but you get the idea. You get the idea. Great. So the subconscious doesn't feel. It holds a set of interactions of emotions, but it doesn't actually feel. Okay? We feel, but the subconscious is this computer that will bring up. So when I talked to you about the road rage experience before, where I got triggered, what happened is the subconscious went into the memory banks. Okay, so someone cut me off and they took my personal space. The subconscious went into my memory banks, into my model of the world, and said, okay, now, what's the proper reaction for this? And originally, the proper reaction was, be crazy, angry, frustrated, mad, pain. Oh, how could they do such a thing? Curse you and your mother. That was the initial reaction. But after I had done these techniques and changed that trigger out, what was the reaction? Subconscious didn't have one. I had to choose. I had to actually choose because I had the freedom to choose. And so I did choose. And as you remember, I backed off, gave him some space, and moved on with my life. So that's what this is. This is what happens. Is the subconscious goes into the model of the world. It asks a question, and it gets the response back, and it hands back emotions with these responses. Okay, so a lot of our pain has to do with our belief system. This model of the world that we hold, it's all stored in there in the subconscious, and when it gets violated, that's where pain is. It's when our inner model gets violated that we get upset. That's the cool part. That's the trick. That's the hook. That's what everything about this is about. Is that little piece of information. All the techniques are going to come back to helping the subconscious to be okay if something gets violated, or to remove the violation from it. Because the reality is the subconscious isn't going to judge. The conscious mind is the judge. The subconscious mind is a non-judge. It's a computer. It just runs. It doesn't care. It's okay if we feel pain. It's okay if we feel happy. It doesn't actually care that much when it comes down to that. It has goals, and we'll talk about those goals next time, but it won't feel bad just to feel bad, because it doesn't feel. All the feeling happens at the conscious level. Okay? So we will get back. I know that's a simplification, and there's a lot of engineers that are mad at me, and there's a lot of psychologists mad at me, and a lot of biologists mad at me, and I understand. It's a simplification. It's a simple model, and it helps. But this model gives us accurate results and allows us to move forward with our life. And results are what matter. Unless you're a mathematician, results are what matter. Instead of being accurate. So we'll see you next episode. We'll talk about what the goals of the subconscious are, and we'll keep going. So you're not going to want to miss this. Come on back.